Hi, I'm Mark with Crown & Caliber, and welcome to Hidden Gems. Today's going to be a little bit different. Instead of going into the intricacies of a movement or history of a watch, we're talking about straps. There is such a multitude of different styles and leathers, and when you start getting into it, it can really take that one watch and make it do triple, quadruple duty. It really is a great way to expand how a watch looks and its usefulness. And I love that, and something that we talk about all the time around here. We talk about how much I'd love to put that watch on this or that. And as some of you may know, we've recently become part of Hodinkee, and they sell the straps that we don't. So it gave us the access and gave us the chance to raid their shelves, grab some high quality straps, put them on the watches we have in-house, and it allows us to share with you what we think so interesting about straps. The fun part about straps is being able to change what you expect out of a watch. And there's certain watches we all know, like the Speedmaster Professional, absolute strap monster, whatever you put on it works. We wanted to look at things that were a little different, a little more fun colors, something that changes the way you approach the watch because you change the strap. So let's start with NATOs. They are the easiest to get into, the lowest price point, something that's become very popular. And being hidden gems, let's get into the history a little bit. Let's start with why it's called a NATO strap. That type of strap actually originated with the British military in the 1970s. And in order to get one, you had to fill out a G10 form. And as they became more popular, instead of being known as G10 watches, they got known for their stocking number that the quartermasters would have to grab it from. And those stocking numbers were called NATO stocking numbers. And eventually they became so popular, they just called them the NATO straps for the stocking number system that was used. NATO straps, typically nylon, though it could be made of other materials, especially canvas, the original ones are made out of. But what makes them different is they have this pass-through going underneath and then back up and creates two different layers. That extra attachment where it goes underneath both the spring bars is why it was used in the military. It means that if one of the spring bars break off, the watch is still attached by the other one. It's an extra security that's not there with most straps. And that's why the military started using it in the first place, and why it became popular with people like Sean Connery as James Bond. Now that we know what a NATO is, let's look at the unexpected companion to a NATO, the Rolex Daytona. Normally this is known as the hard to get Rolex watch, the one that is nearly impossible, that you'll be on a wait list forever to get. And it's almost never worn anything but the Oyster bracelet, which is a fantastic bracelet and looks good, but honestly I think really limits the watch and keeps it to just what everyone's used to. Putting on this black NATO to match the black of the watch gives it a more day in, day out feel, a more sporty feel, which is where it came from. This is a sports watch. This is a watch that's meant to time races originally. And I think the NATO gives it that original feel. It gives it the feel of a sports watch. It's something that you're ready to take out, go out and have some fun with. And I love the darkening look to it. This might be my favorite combination of a NATO, even though it's that simple, that I've seen in a very long time. So going from there, we have a sports watch on a NATO to a watch that is not a sports watch on a NATO, the Vacheron Constantin 56 Complete Calendar. It isn't steel, so it's not a typical dress watch. It does have more of a daily watch feel, and it's something I've covered before. It's a watch that I love to play around with. I've said in the past that I would throw this thing on a Flamingo NATO and have no problem with it. It's a good way to take a watch that is considered to be high horology, almost dress watch-like, but a little bit of a sporty feel to it, and really dress it down, make it an everyday watch. That's why I think this watch really belongs, and the strap helps it go there. So moving on. Next we have the typical leathers, what you're used to, which is cowhide leathers or calf leather. For these straps, since they're a little higher end, they actually use calf leather, which is a little bit different than typical cowhide because It has a tighter grain and a tighter weave, so it actually stands up over time better. It's a little bit more water resistant, and it also isn't as stiff as typical cowhide, so it immediately feels more comfortable on the wrist, making it the perfect thing for a watch strap. And just to get into what makes also a good quality strap, you should be able to see the sides completely painted so that there's no splits you're seeing. It's sealed on the side. A really good strap will also have a cowhide on the bottom so that the tanning doesn't get into your hand. It's a little softer. It's a difference between a cheaper strap and a higher quality strap. This is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Thin Moon Phase, which normally comes on alligator strap. I think that makes it a little too dressy. I like the idea of taking a cowhide leather strap instead, bringing it down to a still dressy but more business casual rather than I want to put on a suit in order to wear this watch. I'm not going to wear a suit most days, but this is the kind of watch I do want to wear most days. I have no problem taking the office every day once I get rid of the alligator. So next we have the Lange 1, which in itself deserves its own video. It's honestly an amazing watch that at some point we're going to get into. But usually it comes on an alligator strap, which is stuffy, but we still need to have fun with it. Watches shouldn't be so precious that we don't have some fun with it, and that's where you can bring in some color. In this case, we have a calfskin blue, which works with the blue moon phase, is a simple one that just helps bring out something in the watch that the alligator strap doesn't really do for me. And then speaking of what color can do for a watch, this is another calfskin leather, but this time dyed a nice orange that goes really well with the orange in the second hand of this watch. And honestly, it's a color combination I love so much that this is my watch. And this might be my favorite strap I've ever put it on. It's fun with the orange, but it feels nice and serious to have some leather on there instead of just a bright orange NATO. It brings it some gravitas with the leather, but at the same time, the color is fun. It says, and to me, this is just what I love about this watch, is every time I put a strap on it, it changes what it is. I think the point is when it comes to the calfskin leather, leather is the most typical strap, and we definitely have seen it plenty of brown leather, black leather. I think when you add color to it, you're bringing something that isn't just there in the watch out, something that you bring to the watch. You get to bring your own style, your own fun to a watch, and I think it's really important. Don't be afraid when you get a watch on leather to start looking at other options to mix it up. Feel free to change it out, put a bright color on it, a dark color on it. It gives the watch a different character every time you do. It's worth exploring. It brings new life to that watch. Another fun way to play with the strap is when we start talking about older watches or vintage watches or watches that have that vintage feel, is getting a distressed leather. It already has some cracks and crevices in it. It's new, but it has a little wear to it in the look, which I think really lends itself well to like a classic watch like this. This is a Patek Philippe Calatrava with, if we want to have some fun with it, a Hunter caseback, which not many people do, but I love the fact Patek still makes that once in a while. The green works well with the gold, always does. It's a great warm color combination, but what I really like about this strap is that distressed look on it with this classic looking watch. It gives it a little bit of weight of history. That weight of that time is part of what is the Calatrava. It's an old watch, it's an old style, it's been around a long time, and it always feels that way. It feels like there's a little weight of history behind the models, so having a strap that matches that, I think works better than what the strap that actually comes with the watch does. That's the miracle of changing the strap. You can actually add the character that's already in the watch and bring it out even more when you do something like that. That takes care of the calfskin leathers. And it's also worth noting there's a lot of other different leathers out there. One we don't see too often, which has become one of my favorite because it's a very light tone to it, a light texture, is actually goat leather. It feels a lot like the cow leather as far as how stiff it is or how pliable it is. So it's easy to wear, it's familiar, but it has this really tight pebbling. It's a very light, subtle texture to it. And I'm a big fan because it's not something you see every day. And here we have it paired quite fun with a Reverso Tribute to 1931. It's gorgeous on its own. And in this case, that yellow is bright, fun, it gives a little different, and then it matches really well with indices on this watch, which are kind of faux aged, but not real faux Tina. The rest of the black dial means it will work with anything. When you put it on, you feel happier about it. You have this very old, serious watch, but it's supposed to be a sports watch, not a dress watch initially. It should be more fun. It should be something you take out every day. This watch, side by side with what it comes with, different feel to the watch. And that's the point of the strap, is every time you change it or bring something new to it with the strap, it changes the attitude of the watch. So this has gone from a dress watch to a fun everyday watch. So another thing to think about is those dark, stiff leathers that come with this watch originally, they don't bend exactly and they sit further up on the wrist. And it always takes a lot of time and wearing before it plies into your wrist and starts to feel normal. When you have something like this that is a lot softer leather, the minute you put it on, it just bends with the wrist so well that I actually think this kind of leather is better than what it comes with and fits better on your wrist. It lays low, it feels sleek, it does exactly what the watch is supposed to do. And when you're changing the color of the strap, you can bring out a little bit more of the watch, more fun. But when you change the type of leather in the strap to some of these softer or even a more stiff leather, you're changing the experience of the watch, and sometimes for the better. So far we've talked about pretty standard straps that subjectively can change a watch. They look great, but they're relatively standard, and it's what we're used to on a watch. Now we're gonna move to a strap that is divisive. It's not everyone's a big fan of it, but the strap does have some defenders. Elvis, Miles Davis, Paul Newman are just some of the people who have worn this strap quite famously. This is the Bund Strap. The Bund Strap comes from mid-century pilots. They dealt with a lot of open air cold, a lot of hot elements, a lot of different things you didn't want metal touching your arm for. So what the Germans actually did was put a pad of leather underneath the watch to keep the metal from the watch touching your skin. And this is one of the few watch straps that was actually invented, like the NATO, for a real function. So we did pair it with an IWC pilot's watch to give it the right watch for the right feel. Color works great. It definitely gives a vibe to this watch. The Bund may be a polarizing option. Some people not a fan of it, some people are. And if you are, go for it. Just like the watch you pick out, the strap you add to it, it should be about what you like and what speaks to you. Enjoy it. And the last two we have on the table are Nubuck and Suede. And they're kind of in the same vein of feel. Nubuck here it has a soft texture to it. And what it is the top grain leather is sanded and scuffed to create that soft texture. And it's not flat, it's more durable than suede, it's more water resistant than suede. It's gonna last longer, but it's not gonna have as soft a texture as suede. Again, with like a Nubuck, is you'll have the calfskin underneath to have it a little softer, a little more durable touch against the skin. I've seen this baby blue on Panerai before. I think it looks great. And honestly, this watch will work with almost anything. And then, Suede. So Suede, from a distance, may look like Nubuck, but it's from the underside of the hide, which means it doesn't have the same water resistance. Also means because of that, less durability. But man, is it soft. Man, does it feel good. It has a specific look that you can't get from anything else. And once in a while, you just want to put something like a camo suede strap on something. And his Breitling definitely has a big military feel to it, so it worked great on this watch. But honestly, it's just fun to have a camo suede strap. I just want to say that again, a camo suede strap. Something that ridiculous and fun. is you almost want it to have in the collection to throw on any watch just to see what it will look like. I know it's camo, but it's suede camo. Like, that's just pure fun. Anything else, any other material made from this just wouldn't be as silly, and I love that. So the point of all this is, when you're looking at a watch, realize that straps can change the personality. They can change how you look at the watch, how you use the watch, from what materials you use to the color. It's one of the joys of having a nice watch. And you have plenty of options here. There is the cow leather, the goat, there's suede, there's nubuck, and there's plenty of other leathers out there. But if leathers aren't your thing, there's of course the NATO straps, there's rubber, there's Perlon straps, and there's even vegan options like pineapple leather watches. All worth checking out. All fantastic ways to bring new life and new interests to your watch. Hope you enjoyed learning about straps today. Join me next time on Hidden Gems. Thank you for joining me today as we talked about straps and what they can do for watches. And if there's other aspects of the watch world that you find are unappreciated and we should dive into, let us know in the comments. See you next time.